Hi, everybody. I am Steve Welch, Executive Director of Invite, Welcome, Connect. Thank you all for being here today. We're joined today by Mary MacGregor, who's one of the instructors in Invite, Welcome, Connect, and on our board, and by Canon Jenni of the Diocese of Southwestern Virginia, who helped create the electronic versions of these assessment tools we're gonna be looking at today. This is going to be a relatively casual session. I have like two or three slides to show, and then we'll get into the nitty gritty of actually what these assessment tools are about and how to use them. But why don't we start, as we start everything in Invite, Welcome, Connect, with prayer? And I'm going to ask Mary MacGregor to please pray us into this.
Sure. Thank you, Steve. The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Lord God, we thank you for the gift of life you have given us. We thank you for the work you've given us to do and the opportunity to share the gospel, the good news of Jesus. We thank you that we have come together today to learn how to use some tools to help us discern within our congregations some of the work that we may need to focus on in order to do the spreading of your gospel in a more effective way. So be with us in this conversation. Bless the churches and the people here represented. Thank you for this opportunity to come together. These things we ask in the name of our Lord Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mary. Right now, I'm going to put into the chat for everybody a link to the page on our website that has all the assessment tools. Oh, no, I'm trying to send it to the waiting room. Sorry, everyone in the meeting. So that's a link to the page that has all the assessment tools we're on. I suggest if you just open that up, you can ignore it for now. But when we actually get into playing with stuff, you might want to kind of play along. Meantime, I'm going to share just a couple of slides, kind of ground us where we're going here. Just a couple of things I wanted to let you know about. On the news section of the Invite, Welcome, Connect website, which is just invitewelcomeconnect.com/news, are three things in particular that I wanted to point out to you. One is an article about getting started with Invite, Welcome, Connect and the resources that we have to help you kind of get things off the ground. These assessment tools are talked about there in that article, along with some other things and links to everything that you might need to kind of kickstart your Invite, Welcome, Connect ministry. I also, with Lent coming up in 2.5 weeks, which is crazy. That scares me. It's still Christmas, isn't it? A couple of things to enhance your Lenten practices. One is we have put together a group study guide for the Invite, Welcome, Connect book. So there's a downloadable PDF there. It's divided into 7 chapters, the 7 kind of main chapters at the heart of the book, with discussion questions, with prayers, with a synopsis of each chapter, and all of those text materials are also covered in videos that you can, if you prefer to use videos for it, you can do that. That's completely free. Obviously, the book itself isn't included, but it's a great thing to do for, particularly if you're getting started or revitalizing your Invite, Welcome, Connect ministry, or just curious about it and see how curious other people are. It's a great way to kind of study the book together as a Lenten devotion. We're big fans here at Invite, Welcome, Connect of Ashes to Go as an evangelical event. And we have on our website as well an interview with the founder of Ashes to Go, the Reverend Emily Malott, who talk about it's a video interview, but there's also a text transcript of it, depending on how you like to consume your media. But talks about Ashes to Go, what it's about, how to get it done in your own part of the Episcopal Kingdom, right? And again, all of those are at invitewelcomeconnect.com/news. And then finally, as I put in the chat, the address where you're going to find these assessment tools we're going to talk about today on our website is just invitewelcomeconnect.com/assessment tools. Or if you prefer menu navigation, that's on our main menu under the free resources, and then you'll find it there. All right, so I'm going to now stop sharing. We'll see each other. And I'm going to turn it over to Ken and Jenni Fairs, who's going to talk to us about kind of what the assessment tools are all about and why you care. And then we'll get into, after that, we'll actually take a look at them and how to do the kind of physical computer stuff needed to use them in your own setting. So it's on to you, Jenni. Thanks.
Thanks, Steve. Good afternoon, everyone. It's so good to see you here. I would say welcome to the frozen tundra of Roanoke, Virginia, where we are still under, I feel like, mounds and mounds of snow and ice. So I hope wherever you are, you're warm today. I wanted just to give a brief background of how this assessment came about for me. So when I started this work in the Diocese of Southwestern Virginia, I was looking for a way to work with our vestries using Invite, Welcome, Connect. But I'm a big fan of moving sort of our Episcopal Church into the digital age, and to provide a way for our people to be able to really to utilize the tools that are available to them. So if you haven't been to the website, the Invite, Welcome, Connect website, I really just encourage you to go and just explore. But I had printed off this copy of the 2022 checklist from the website. And what I decided to do was put that into Google Forms for our vestry, the vestry that I was working with, just so that they could fill out the form ahead of time, ahead of the vestry meeting. That way, they had time to think about their answers. They had time to really internalize the questions that were asked in the surveys. And so that by the time we came back together, I would have a comprehensive look of sort of what everybody was thinking of and feeling about the basics of their evangelism efforts at their churches. So I dropped all of the questions into Google Forms, and this is what we're going to show you today, and sent the link out. And then all of the results are compiled into a Google form in beautiful pie graph results. And so during our vestry meetings or our vestry retreat, I was able to go through pretty much quickly, question by question, to identify what are the areas of great success that we're already doing really well, the church is doing really well, and the areas of which we need to work. And so our time in our vestry retreats, you all know, are so valuable. Our time is spent very wisely culling through the data quickly, so that we can use our time together as a team to discuss the areas of which our focus will be. So I thought for just a second I would give you a glimpse of what our this particular survey looked like for this church. What we have done for you is we have now developed two different tools, one for small churches and then one for just a comprehensive tool that any church can use. So if you're a small church, you'll probably want to gravitate towards the more concise version. But if you're a larger church, you might want to go ahead and stick with your comprehensive tool. Okay, so this is our church here. This is a small church. This has an average. This is a church in Radford, Virginia, has probably an average attendance of about 35 on a Sunday. So you can see the responses right here. This is what I see. The responses are 7. So it's a small vestry. And so this is the question. So this is what the vestry member would have seen ahead of time. And this is what you will have as well. Now, what you might see in this is that I added something that's not in the survey. And so you'll see this on your form as well. It says, I don't know this, because we make an assumption that even our vestry members know all the answers. But when we talk about evangelism, and we particularly are talking about the nuts and bolts of how a church operates, you will be amazed at the number of people who really don't know the answer. And so when people are reflecting that they don't know, that is a really important thing for leadership to take and to talk about, so that it can be shared, but also so that we can do a better job communicating whatever it is. All right, so I'm just going to show you what this response list look like. So again, we have a small data set, but that's the point here. This was supposed to be just a vestry. And so you will see that just the simple question, what is your church voicemail, basically? Out of the 5, we do this great. Somebody's listened to the voicemail, and then 2 people were like, I don't even know if we have a voicemail. Which again, not uncommon, but we would have the opportunity to say quickly, oh yes, that is something you would get when you call the church office, so that everyone knows. All right, so road signs and banners, you can again see this is an area of which this particular church perhaps does not need to necessarily work on too much, that the majority of the vestry felt like this is something that you could do well. For probably the one person who says we need to work on this, we might want to hear what they have to say. That could come up in a small group later on in the day. But overall, this church, the vestry, feels that they do a really good job of this.
Jenni,
Again,
on that point, could I ask one question?
sure.
Do you use this strictly with vestries, or sometimes do you survey the congregation as a whole?
You could do it either way. I would say I've used it right now strictly with vestries and vestry retreats. But you could do your committees. If you had a small church, you could use this as a whole congregational tool, because everybody is invested generally in small church. I think it would be very difficult. Might be a good measure to use it with a large church. But I think trying to parse through a lot of that data would be pretty hard in a large church setting. But in a small church, I could see for sure using everybody having the opportunity to fill out the survey.
And Jenni, can I also add that there are a number of churches out there that have an Invite, Welcome, Connect team, and that they may have a vestry member on that team or not. And so this can really be used with any configuration of a group that has a responsibility to address these things. And I would say that there would be occasions when the whole congregation, it would be interesting to get their opinion about some of these questions, and be very informative for the more comprehensive form.
Absolutely. And that's the nice thing about a digital assessment, is that you can use it in whatever way you choose to use the assessment. You can use it with you can use it for 500 people, or you can use it in this case for 7 people. I did want to take it to the next step though, because I think that that's really important. So Invite, Welcome, Connect, the book, is really designed for small groups to sit around a table and have conversations about sort of each and every question as it comes about. With this type of digital response, it is important to have those same conversations. So in my retreats, what I will do is I print out all the answers in a PDF after we've had a large group discussion. They'll get a PDF of every answer, and they will divide up generally into 3 groups. One is going to look at the invite data, one will look at the welcome data, one's going to look at connect data. And then they're going to go through in their 3 groups and identify the areas of which they want to work, what they want to prioritize for the year, or what goals they want to set for a particular season. And then we come back together and have those conversations. So the principle of these small group conversations is very much there and very important. But being able to see your data all collected at one time is helpful for a larger group setting.
And Jenny, that's similar to really the way we treat Invite, Welcome, Connect on demand in general. We've taken what was originally small group settings or large group settings with lots of discussion and made it possible for people to do individually. That doesn't mean that the group conversations are not important. Those conversations need to happen.
Right, for sure. And you can choose with the digital assessment, you can sort of choose how to distribute it. And that's one of the nicer pieces about this. If you want to distribute it to your vestry, but you also want to distribute it to all of your committees, to have those kind of that group of people filling out the surveys. Or perhaps you want to try and give this to your newcomers during as part of your newcomer survey work. When you have a newcomer reception, follow up with this so that you can get their feelings on how they are seeing the church for the first time. It's just a helpful metric for you, but it can be used in any way because all it is a link, and you open it up and you can get the results. Steve, do you want to show it, kind of take it from here? I can happy to answer any questions at the end of Steve's demonstration, but we want to make sure you have time to see the actual how to work the website so that you can do this for yourself.
Sure, Jenny. Thanks. I'm going to go ahead and share go through kind of the nuts and bolts of how to find these tools, how to copy them, how to use them your own way. So this is the assessment tools page on our website, which you'll find it's under the free resources menu at assessment tools, or just invitewelcomeconnect.com/assessment-tools. And so all the different tools that we're talking about here are in this one place where you choose the tool that fits your congregation. The first is the PDF that's been on our website for quite some time, has the questions in it, and you can download that. That's good for printing out and sitting around a table and having discussions, that sort of thing. But we've done now that version as a Google form, as Jenny was talking about, but divided up into the individual ministries of Invite, of Welcome, and of Connect. And so you grab them down here. You choose whichever one you want, or each generally. And then the small congregation assessments down at the bottom as online forms. And I'll just show you how to access them, how to copy them. What'll happen is the first thing when you click on this link, it's not going to launch the survey itself. What it will do is immediately ask you if you want to make a copy of the form. To make a copy of the form, you'll have to be logged into your own Google account, right? Because it is delivered on Google Forms. We make you do the copy so that everybody's not using the same form. It's because if we just gave you access to our form, when you edit your survey results, they would just add on to other people's surveys results. So you need to have your own. So it's pretty simple though. So you click the link, and you see you get the warning here, or advisory, that you're going to copy this document. Would you like to make a copy of Invite, Welcome, Connect Assessment Invite Checklist for Small Congregations? And you just click the little button that says Make a Copy. And that brings you into, this is now your survey. So any change you make becomes yours. It will not be reflected back in the original. So you can do whatever you want with it. You can change the banner to be for your church. I do recommend you change the name, because it's going to default to copy of whatever assessment you're looking at. And what we're looking at here on the screen, as we looked at in Jenny's, is the editor's version of this page. So this is not what your users or your congregants will see. To get that, you've got to publish the form, which again, you can go through and you can change the wording of questions, you can add questions, you can delete questions, you can change the way it looks. Whatever you want to do, this is your tool now to use as you see fit. But and you may learn over time that you want to make changes. But before you can send it out to people, you have to use this publish button. And when you use the publish button, it gives you the responders link. Or actually, it just sets up to publish it. Anyone with the link can respond. And you can change that, but you probably don't want to. So we click publish. Now it pops up over here on the right, this responder link. And a responder is just somebody who will fill it out. So you can copy that link just by clicking that button. And that's what you can distribute to people. And I'm going to paste that link into my address bar. And it's long. So it's usually better if you can, embed the link so people don't have to look at it because, links are ugly. But I put it in my address bar there. And so this is what a user sees. And so it shows their Gmail account. They can switch to a different account. This is that first page. And they can go through just page by page and answer. And they don't see any of the responses. And they're not terribly long, each of these, and they're all multiple choice. So as they answer, like at the end, the results are available to you immediately, right? There's no delay. There's no, if you have it open on your screen while your user has it open on their screen, as soon as they submit their responses, they show up in your form, which is kind of cool. And I was going to look at one of the, actually Jenni already showed you that the responses that come up in with the charts. She didn't mention, I think this is cool. If you click this little link to copy chart, it'll copy that chart so that you can then, if you're doing a presentation or you want to put it in a newsletter or a document, that sort of thing, it just copies that and you can then immediately go to that other document and paste it in. And that might be about it. It's really quite simple. You can also, go back in. If you have, I'm sorry, I'm looking for the one that I own. Looking for edit. Yeah, there we go. So if we come back here, sorry, my Zoom toolbar is in the way. But you can use this minute. You can just go right in and type a new title for it. You can put it in a Google folder of your own. So on your site, on your Google Drive, wherever. So you really have complete control over it. And that's it in a nutshell. I know I can see that there are some questions coming in on chat. I can't quite see what they are. But why don't I stop sharing so we can answer questions, and we can always reshare again if we want to look at stuff.
And Steve, can I make one clarification too?
Please.
You do have to do 3 separate links. So when you are sending this out to your group, you would have an invite survey, an invite, welcome, and connect survey. So your respondents do have to fill out 3 separate surveys. I didn't have any problem with this. I just explained it in an email when we did it, and we didn't have any problems getting people to contribute to all 3 surveys. But I did want to make sure that when you send out the link, you do have to do all 3. Or perhaps you could design it yourself into all one survey. But it was for me simpler to have the 3 separated. So when I was presenting, we had 3 separate surveys to work off of.
Yeah, and I think that's a fair point, Jenni. I think it's sometimes nice to be in that invite headspace while you're answering invite and that sort of thing. I'm sorry, a couple of questions here. Alexis asks, how do we review this webinar later online? 2 ways. So if you go to that same news site that I talked to at the beginning, invitewelcomeconnect.com/news, there's a link right at the top for recorded webinars. So when you click that, every webinar we've done will be there. This webinar, as someone who registered for it, you will receive a copy of it as well as a write-up of what we talked about. it will also be on that assessment tools page. We'll embed it on there as to help people follow along and be able to look and see, okay, I do this and then I do that. And let me just see what other questions.
So yeah, I've been following the chat. So Tracy, thank you for your answering for that question. That anybody can fill this out without a Google account, but the person who is copying the survey must have a Google account. So really that was not an issue for me when we were doing it. And then Richard, will there be editions of this for medium and large size congregations? So the comprehensive survey, which is already on the website, which is the one that I started with, that is the tool that I worked off from the beginning. So yes, that is already available. It is the same survey that's on the Invite, Welcome, Connect. Mary and I, as a separate project, created one for our smaller congregations because I, in this work, realized quickly, working with small congregations, that the language of Invite, Welcome, Connect is very much geared towards large church. Lots of clergy language, lots of committee language. And so for small churches, I felt like they needed a more streamlined survey, and Mary really felt the same. So that's why we launched a small church survey as well. So Richard, you already that is available. The large church and medium-sized congregations can use the comprehensive survey. Senior members who are not computer literate. So I've worked with all ages on this, and I haven't had a problem with this because the questions are straightforward. If I did have someone who couldn't figure it out, then I would just walk them through it. But there's also a paper version of this, so you can just print the PDF for someone to fill out with paper and pencil, and then either someone could enter those for them, or they could just bring it to the retreat and have that data with them.
Yeah, and that's said, Jenny. So the different versions, they are slightly different from the long PDF. We will probably soon have a link for a PDF version of each of those. That'll take just a little bit more time to get them ready and make them look decent. And that's something that you can then print out and distribute. Give me a few days for that. But we'll have that.
And then the last one that I wanted to say is, if Henrietta asked, if you work off the 3 survey model, is there a way to get a summarized report of compiled data from all 3? They would be separate if you're using 3 separate links. I don't think there's any way, not that I know of, to put all 3 together. Steve is probably a little bit more knowledgeable about that than I am. I suppose you could potentially enter it into one spreadsheet. Actually, you probably could do that. You could probably just upload your data into one spreadsheet, and then it could probably compile it for you into one full graphic model.
That's it. I don't know that gets you that much, though, because
I don't either.
Because it's not like that there's cross information between the Invite survey and the Connect survey. So
Right.
So you need distinct reports anyway. And just we put them in 3 different files. But you can do that. Gail asks, should we save the survey to our personal Google Drive before we create the responder link? As soon as you click make a copy, it's on your Google Drive. You may want to organize it some way, put it in a folder or something like that, but you don't have to do anything special to put it on your drive. It's on your drive as soon as you create it. Okay.
And the owner, I can't emphasize this enough. So the owner of your survey, so if you send the link out, then you will have immediately the results of everyone who is coming, who fills out your survey. So you can see in real time, if 7 people, if you sent the link to 14 people, but only 7 people have filled it out, then you'll know to send a reminder to say, fill out your survey results. Or you can have Google also send in a reminder within like 1 week of your retreat, or when your survey closes, Google will send that reminder for you.
Yeah, let's see.
I can make just a general comment. This is a lot of information, and you will get really important results from this survey, especially for those of you in a small congregation. Take one thing at a time. I really recommend going through invite and focusing on invite and working on that, and then working on welcome, and then working on connect. Of course, you can work on all three simultaneously, but usually in a smaller congregation, you're going to want to highlight what are the most important things. Maybe there are 3 things out of all 3 surveys total that we want to work on this year. Don't be overwhelmed by the results. You're going to find out you probably need to work on a lot of things. So just go ahead and pick some and make goals out of them, and then work on those goals. I know I am the chair of my own Invite Welcome Connect team in my own church, and we're definitely a medium-sized church. And we just had our retreat on our team. We picked 4 goals from the total of the 3 areas that we're going to work on this year. And it's just a way to focus down on those things we think are most important. And that's the beauty of this survey, is it highlights very clearly those things that we feel like we probably need to work on. So just don't get overwhelmed with the amount of information. Just pick a few things, work on them, and then move on to the next.
Yeah, and Julie Cooper asks if you can use Google Forms to send the results to anyone you want and the data. Yes, you can, and you can also populate a spreadsheet directly out of this too. So if you're a data wonk and want to play with the data, you can take it as far as you want, or leave it as simple as you want.
Yeah, but you have to add them as a collaborator. So if you want to have someone else view the results, you're gonna have to add them as a collaborator to the original survey. But the second piece of that is someone asked if you can keep the results confidential, and the answer to that is yes as well. If that's important, or an email address, you're allowed to share or not share email addresses, but you get to choose that in the settings of your form. So be sure to choose how you want to send that out.
Yeah, and I believe these are set to not collect email addresses.
I think that's right.
Because I'm looking at the responses and I don't see any email addresses. So
I try and do that. I usually do try and do it anonymously, just because I think people are happy to are a little bit more willing to share if they don't feel like their email addresses are associated with it.
So other questions right now. I think we've answered everything that's in the chat, and you can either put it in chat or you can unmute yourself if you want to. As I say, we'll do this webinar will be on the site along with kind of a write-up of it. We'll try to do some screenshots and stuff to help walk you through if you're having trouble, but Google Forms is also so well documented. Any question you have about how to do it, Google can answer, or just holler at us. We think that this is a really valuable tool, and we're very thankful to Jenni for digitizing us on these. I think it's really useful to even I'm going to speak blasphemy here for a moment. Even if you're not doing Invite Welcome Connect, as a thing per se, these are good things to know about how people see how you're doing evangelism, hospitality, and belonging. So,
I see there was a question about contact information for you.
Yes.
How do people get a hold of you?
Yeah. So as you registered for this webinar, the email that came to you is from my email address. I will also send an email to each and every one of you with this recording, so you'll have my contact info, and you can reach out to me for questions or problems. Let's see what is Kevin's. I lost it. It jumped.
Yeah, this said he'll add a line that asks for their name if they would like to give it, and that's definitely another way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're also, like I say, you can do whatever you want to these surveys. If you want to, sometimes it's helpful to put your contact information on the top. If you have a congregation who might have questions about how to do this, or might want to ask, "Are you sure it's confidential?" Put your information directly on the form. Um, but and use your own church branding, and maybe you've had a special, maybe there's something you've done recently in these that you want to ask about. If it's effective, you can put in a question of your own, to see.
So there's a good question from Mike that says, on the Getting Started page, this assessment tool is the first listed. Do you suggest starting with the book first and then moving into the assessment tools, or starting with the assessment and going from there? Um, I think what the book does, usually when I'm working with a vestry, I will give the either the senior warden or the clergy, whoever it is, the option of whether they want to read this book as a group. It is not a hard read. There's lots of really great points and stories in here that I think people appreciate, of how it works in real time. Um, to me, the assessment tools can almost stand alone, however, because they're very practical. Like, it is Church 101. And the things that are in your assessments are the things that most churches should be trying to do if they want to move, as the book says, from maintenance to mission. If they want to get out of maintenance mode and move into the missional mindset of really just being active, vibrant churches, if you're doing the things on the assessment tool, you're getting there. Most of the time our congregations really are really just when they see it. And that's why these graphs are so important, because when you begin to see like the things that you just really aren't doing, it makes okay, we want to focus our energy in certain places to get moving. And that's the key. So the assessment, in my mind, can stand alone, but the book is just helpful as a resource and stories of how people have used Invite, Welcome, Connect successfully.
It's a question about where to find the book. It's on Amazon or forwardmovement.org. You can find it in both places.
And Forward Movement offers a group discount if you're planning to do like a group book study. They'll I think they'll give you like 20% off the price of the book, above, I think it's 5 copies. That's on them. I'm not sure for that. Amazon also offers a Kindle version, which is voice enabled. So it's not it's not an audio book, but if you have an Amazon smart device, even on your phone, it will read it aloud to you if that's something you'd like. And it's not bad. It's a pretty good computer voice. Sarah Pickett, you and I hope I'm pronouncing your first name correctly. You might almost be a plant for me, but she asked, is there a message board or the like where we can discuss or share methods that have brought success, or ones that haven't, when putting this program into effect? We have what we call our idea collaboration tool, which is freely available on our website. I just put the link into the chat, but it's also it's one of the other things under our free resources menu on the site. That's also divided up into Invite and Welcome and Connect, but it's people sharing things from everybody who's part of the Invite, Welcome, Connect community. It's both there on our website, and the same tool is within the on-demand resources on our website as well. And so if you put an idea in one place, it shows up the other place. But it's a good way to kind of see what has worked for other people, what hasn't worked for other people, but also to share yourselves what's going on. So it's a really nice kind of worldwide community tool.
A couple of things. We haven't had that tool up for very long, so we just encourage you to add to it so that it can grow. And then finally, Steve, would you speak to subscription?
I will. Sorry. So for those of you, actually, let me get back into Zoom because I was going up. Give me a show of hands if your diocese or your congregation is a subscriber to Invite, Welcome, Connect on Demand. I see a few. Yeah, a lot of folks. This is and I'll put a link. But we have spent a lot of time and resources to kind of recreate that workshop experience, and a lot of folks have also attended an in-person workshop with Mary Foster Palmer, our founder, or others. We put together videos and resources and all kinds of stuff to help you do this ministry of Invite, Welcome, Connect. So it's available by subscription for individual congregations or for the diocese in which they reside. We have, I think, right now, we've been doing this about a year. We have about 19 dioceses and 40-something individual congregations. And what this gives you is absolute, unlimited access to all of the materials for absolutely everyone in your church or in your diocese. So we want everybody to use it. So it's not like you don't have 5 seats, you don't have certain hours or anything. If you're in a subscribing diocese, if you're in a subscribing congregation, you have access for 24/7 whenever you want. That's a great thing to go through. As I mentioned, you can go through and watch the videos and do the exercises and take the quizzes and all that sort of thing as a group, which is great because you get to do all these great group activities. But it's not limited to that. You can go through on your own, which is wonderful if you're adding new team members to your ministry team, or you want a refresher. You want to go back and say, oh, there was that long discussion about exterior signage. What did they have to say about that? You can come and watch the videos on that and see the online resources and stuff. So we try to price it as inexpensively as possible. I'll put the subscribe link from our website on there. It varies a little bit depending on the size of your diocese or the size of your congregation, because we know that bigger dioceses can afford more and smaller dioceses can afford less. So I encourage you, if you're a decision maker, take a look. If you're not a decision maker, get the information to your decision maker.
Yeah, but now that these assessment tools are free.
Yeah.
To anybody.
Yeah, and we make a lot of materials freely available on the website. We're a nonprofit. We want this information out there. We do this because we believe in it, but we also have expenses, so we can't make everything for free. So you can also just donate. There's a donate link on the website too. But I think we can our subscriptions are really how we keep the doors open.
Hey, Steve, Mark asked, how do we know when a subscription will run out and need renewed?
So subscriptions are always 12 months from the date that they start, and we send out emails reminding people that it's going to end. When you sign up for a subscription, you have the option of choosing to make it auto renew or not. So if it auto renews, it just keeps going. Now we do change. There's an access code that changes year to year, but we send out the new access code to subscribers. There's also an ask a question bot on our website. If you're in a subscribing diocese or congregation, you just tell the bot, "Hey, I'm in, I'm in diocese X. What's our access code?" And it will tell you. It's not. We're not going through a lot of troubles to keep people out.
Do you see the next question, Steve? What is in the subscription that is not available for free? Tracy and Teresa had the question.
Okay. So and we do webinars on that as well, but there's a lot of particularly video workshop materials and exercises and things. We've the same sort of material that you would get if you were in a face-to-face workshop with an instructor. we have three main instructors. Mary MacGregor is one of them, going through the Invite, Welcome, Connect ministry as a whole with a lot of practical tips for how to do things, a lot of theological underpinning for stuff. So the videos are, I don't actually know how many hours of videos there are, but it's probably close to 10, as well as lots, and those videos also include transcripts and links to the resources that are discussed in there, and lots of other stuff. And if anybody's interested in even in just having a little trial, if you reach out to me, I can help you with that.
This one, as one of the creators of the video training, is that all three of us who did the trainings of the three distinct videos, these videos are best designed to use with a group, because we will go through a portion of the training through the video and say, now with your group, talk about these questions. So there are pauses built into the videos so that groups can follow the videos and have discussions among themselves. So they're great for a group that's really interested in taking a deep dive into either Invite, Welcome, or Connect for their group discussion and development.
So Jamie asked, do you have any stats on how successful the Invite, Welcome, Connect program is for small churches? What kind of feedback have you received? Well, Jamie, that's why truthfully, that's why we did this, because the feedback that I was receiving from using the full comprehensive survey was that it was just too overwhelming for small churches. And so that is the reason that we have, we made this small church survey. And so going forward now, I'll be using the small church survey with our small churches. But what I can say is even with the larger comprehensive survey that I have worked with in the churches in our diocese, even though they are smaller, the foundational points and the things that that their results have pointed out as we went through the work and brainstormed as vestries, and the decisions that they made to prioritize have been very successful in the churches that have done the work. So, like one of our churches decided, that they had no outdoor signage, and they decided that that's one of the things that they needed to emphasize. And that has made a huge difference for their visibility. And people are now have come because of the signage, or have visited because of the signage on the road. But the reason that we try to do a small church survey is because everything is so clergy heavy in the large church. And so this really speaks more to lay leaders. And if you decide to do that with your church, I think we would love to hear your feedback on how the reduced survey works for you.
Also, I would say that if you read the book, there are so many stories where Invite, Welcome, Connect has really taken off in individual congregations, where it has totally changed their culture of welcoming newcomers, inviting newcomers, and how they connect. That it absolutely transformed their congregations. So we do not have any national statistics about the impact of any of the resources that we offer, but we've had real testimony to the power of focusing on these three aspects of evangelism, really, and how we bring new people into the life of our congregations. It's been extremely powerful. Just one little point of reference. The book is in its 5th printing. It's sold thousands and thousands of copies. So the interest in it is huge. And because it is transformative for our congregation. So we just encourage you to dive in, start somewhere, and just discern for yourself how this begins to impact the culture of your church and the people who attend. It can be really, really transformative.
Mary, David Loader asks, "What's a small church?" And you sort of redefined that for our small congregation.
We're thinking maybe 75 on Sunday or less, but I'd say even 50 on Sunday or less. There are categories that people in congregational development like Jenni and myself have used over the years. But really, if you have under 50 people on Sunday, that's really kind of a small church. And most Episcopal churches are small.
Yeah. And I'll say this also about just Invite, Welcome, Connect in general, but also our on-demand materials. They started off, by necessity, because they were national workshops, going around, to be kind of one size fits all on one level. Like they were broad subject where individual congregations pick and choose what works for them and do that. With our new online delivery system, we're getting down into more offerings for kind of specialized situations. So we'll be releasing a module this year specifically on small congregation churches. We're working on one on Invite, Welcome, Connect in a youth setting. We're looking on. We recently added some inclusion resources for LGBTQ plus people, but we'll be doing an actual module on that in there. Also looking at different multicultural ministries and really looking to take to drill down to subject areas that may not be of interest to everyone, but that will be of a lot of interest to some people, and where have the big broad coverage of Invite, Welcome, Connect, but also bring it home to this kind of smaller groups who have more particular interests.
So Jessica had just chimed in that they're 14. Their ASA, they're this 14, and so I mean, I really think that, like, obviously, that someone just said 5 children is the future. Absolutely, but you again, the principles of the work that you're doing is very important to have. So when people do come, my guess, maybe you're in a more rural setting or a small neighborhood, you want to be visible. So when people are looking for a church, they can find you. So happy to brainstorm if you ever like to, Jessica. But great work in a small setting that you sound like you're doing there.
That's why when you first look at Invite, Welcome, Connect and how much of it there is, it can feel overwhelming to a smaller congregation with limited resources, limited people. That's why we really encourage you to take the parts that will work for you. Look for the low-hanging fruit. And that's part of the idea generation process, where you throw a lot of ideas at a wall, and as a group you discern, well, what's 1 or 2 things that we can do and try? And it's not, you don't have to do everything. You have to do one thing. And then when you've done that one thing, maybe you do another thing. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. See. And Karen, thank you for your nice words. That been doing Invite, Welcome, Connect for a few years. We find it really helpful. That's great. That's why we're in this.
I think our time is coming to a close. We've been with you guys for almost an hour. Thank you so much for your interest in Invite, Welcome, Connect, and spread the word with other churches. This has been designed for the Episcopal Church, but we feel that it's really about the gospel. It's really about sharing the good news of Jesus Christ and how we can do that in intentional ways in our congregations so that evangelism doesn't have to be so scary for us. So thank you for your attendance.
Ooh, who's at St. Cuthbert Episcopal Church? Somebody just subscribed to our YouTube channel. Is somebody here?
That's
thank you. So we're happy to have you. Thank you. We put up a lot of good stuff there. But thank you all. Have a blessed day. Reach out anytime with questions or concerns, and you'll all receive this recording within a few days. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.